Alright guys, so here's the review of the Aquatico Ocean Star. So this is the first watch I'm checking out from this brand. So it actually comes in this pretty nice wooden box. It's not like a solid wooden box, it's like a fairly cheap, soft kind of wood. But it's a nice little touch that it is actually wood. And we've got this little fastener here, so we just open it up and then we'll quickly go over what else you get in the box. So you can see it's a pretty nice display box. So we've got the warranty card and manual here. So quickly get these out and quickly show you them. Because this is a review piece, this isn't actually signed or dated, but obviously when you buy one it will be. And then we've got the manual there. Got the links I've taken out. So just push pins on this. No screw links, which is fine. So you'll actually get a tropic strap with this as well. It's obviously depending on the dial colour you go for, the strap will match. Here's a nice strap. And then we've actually got the Aquatico branding on the buckle as well. So we'll move all this to one side and get right down to it. And here it is. So obviously I've got the blue version here, but they do have a few different colour options if you want to check them out. I might pop a few on screen so you can see what they're like, but again, links will be down in the description as always. Also, I have actually got a discount code for this. So if you use the discount code HONESTWATCH, you'll actually get 30% off, which is a really nice discount. Especially when you consider this is a limited edition watch, but we'll go into that in more detail as we get into the review. So before we do that, let's quickly go over a quick look at this watch. So when it comes to the finishing on this, it's pretty much fully brushed, apart from a couple of little details. So you can see the sides of the case are polished, but other than that, the rest of the head of the watch is brushed. On the top, you've got some little polished details on the edge of the bezel. Bracelet is fully brushed, including the sides as well. And then when it comes to that clasp, that is also fully brushed and it's got the Aquatico branding on it. And we've also got plenty of micro adjust on that, which is always really useful. And it's double pushes as well. So you can see we've got that diver's helmet there, which is a nice detail. And we've also got the limited edition. And this is number 165 of only 500. So as far as I know, they're only going to do 500 of each colour. So if you do want to pick one up, you need to be quick getting in there. You've probably also noticed as well, we've not got a screw down case back, it's actually screws. A little bit different to the usual there. So now let's take a look at the dial and talk about that in a bit more detail. So we've got applied indices, but when it comes to the text on the dial, that's all printed. So we've got Aquatico at the top, then we've got automatic down at the bottom, and then just below that, which you might not see in red, we've actually got divers 300 meter. So I'll probably zoom in so you can see that a bit better. Because as I say, when you're holding it normally, you don't really notice it. It's only when you get really close that you can actually see that. As you can see there. A nice little touch with the indices is the fact that you've got a truncated index at the 3 o'clock. So normally that wouldn't be there because you've got the date window there, but the fact that they've got a little truncated one, I do like that. Do appreciate that. So when it comes to the loom later on, you'll actually see we've got some loom at the 3 o'clock too. When it comes to the hands, we've got really nice length in all of them. So you can see we've got that red tip to the second hand, which goes right to the edge. Minute hand, also really good length. And then the hour hand, same. As with most of the watch, it's also brushed. Apart from the bits around the indices, they are actually polished. So just breaks it up slightly, adds a little bit of detail. And then when it comes to that crown, you see we've got a nice signed crown there, although I've actually got a little bit of a scuff on mine, because it has got that polished finish. You can also see we've got that polished detail on the bezel as well. So there are little touches of polishing here and there, but on the whole, it is mainly brushed. And you can see we've also got a domed crystal on this. So now let's check out if it is actually sapphire or not. Using the trusty diamond selector tool. And yep, as you can see, we have got sapphire crystal, so it's always good to see. So now let's check out what the loom's like on this. So you can see we've got a little bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a proper chance. And as you probably already noticed, we've actually got a loomed bezel on this, which is always nice. Fully loomed bezel, not just the loom pip. And there we go. So as you can see, we've got BGW9 on this, and we've got plenty of it as well. As I said earlier, got it on the bezel, fully loomed bezel. We've also got nice consistency across the hands, indices and bezel. No patchiness at all, which is always good. And in terms of longevity, when it comes to the bezel, that does fade a little bit quicker, but the loom pip will last longer. So if you are going to be using this diving, that is definitely the way you want it, that usable loom pip. When it comes to the indices and the hands do last a little bit longer than the indices, which again, if one is going to fade before the other, that is the way you want it. And it is nice that we've got a bit of loom on that second hand as well. Not always a given, so a nice little touch. And as I said before, that index of the 3, the truncated one, we've also got loom there. So although it might not be the best loom I've seen on a watch, it's definitely usable, definitely pretty good. So you shouldn't have any real issues with it, I wouldn't have thought. But just bear in mind those things I mentioned. So now let's talk more about the bezel. So we've got a ceramic bezel insert, and it's a 120 click bezel. So quickly show you that in action now. So initially the bezel was a little bit stiff, but that has actually eased over time. So you can see I'm having to put quite a bit of force into this to actually turn it. But there's no wiggle, it's solid. And as you move it quicker, it's a bit easier to do. And then again, when you slow down, it does get a little bit tighter. But as I say, over time, this has eased and it's a lot better now. So now, let's talk about the movement. And as you probably guessed, yep, it's an NH35. So, quickly show you this in action. So we've got a screw down crown, so we'll unscrew that first. And then if we pop it out to the first position, we can then change the date. Pop it out again. And then you'll see the second hand stops, so we've got hacking. And then obviously we can just change the time. Pop it back in, second hand re-engages. All works well, as you'd expect. We've also got hand winding too. No issues at all. And then just screw it back down. And then you can see it sits nicely between those crown guards. So all that's left to do now is show you what it's like on wrist on this bracelet and also on that Tropic strap that comes in the package as well. And then we'll talk about the pros and the cons and whether I would recommend this watch or not. So here's what it looks like on the bracelet on my 7-inch wrist. And because we've got plenty of micro adjust there, getting the perfect fit isn't a problem at all. And I do really like the look of this. It's a pretty simple looking tool diver. It's mainly brushed, as I said. And because we've got those female end links and that slightly curved case, it just helps conform to wrist really nicely. But then you've also got a few little polished details, just to add a little bit of interest. So that bezel, the polished edge, the indices with the polished surrounds, and obviously that ceramic bezel as well. All just catching the light and just adding a little bit of interest. And I do think it's a good looking piece. But let me know, what do you think? Do you like it? Or perhaps you might prefer it on the Tropic strap that also comes in the package. So now let's show you what it's like on that. And here's what it looks like on the Tropic strap that's included. And I have to admit, it does look really good. I'm normally a bracelet guy, but I do quite like this. So it's a really soft, supple strap. And we've got that Aquatico branding on the buckle there as well. Plenty of holes, so it's nice and breathable too, as you'd expect with the Tropic strap. And as I say, I do think it suits the watch really well. Depending on what dial colour you go for, you'll get a matching strap colour. When it comes to any issues with this watch, I've got a couple of little minor ones, but they are quite minor, as you probably guessed throughout the review. So a touch more AR would be nice, and obviously a touch more loom just to make it more consistent with the hands and that loom pip. But other than that, I can't really fault it too much. It's a nice package, and especially if you get it with that discount code to get yourself 30% off. You're getting a 300 meter diver with sapphire crystal, 120 click ceramic bezel, and also 2 strap options in a nice wooden box. So I think it's pretty good.